Here's a rundown of the key points from Quiz 2. So, who are the Minoans? The Minoans are the original indigenous civilization of the Aegean, living on the island of Crete, the great island of Crete, during the Bronze Age, and they are known as seagoers and traders. They are not Greeks, and so it's better to say living on Crete or living in the Aegean. The Greeks come later and create this new thing that we retroactively call Greece. What are some of the reasons we know so little about them? There are a bunch of things that converge to make this happen. The fact that the Minoans are so mysterious to us. One is the collapse of the Bronze Age itself, which brings down all of the civilizations and cultures of the Bronze Age world. But there are two key things that I would want you to single out. One is the fact that their writing system is undeciphered. Linear A we cannot read it. And here's the thing, it's not because of linear A itself. It's not because linear A is, incredibly arcane or, opaque to us. We have some idea of how linear A works because it was copied by the Mycenaean Greeks and used for their language. The main problem is that the Minoan language is completely unknown to us, and it's isolated from all other languages, so we can't get cognates and references from other tongues. The second thing to bear in mind is that Minoan society was absorbed and displaced by the Mycenaean Greeks. As a result, the evidence of the Minoans is crowded out. What we have mainly is visual, because some Minoan cities, and particularly their capital city, Knossos, have been excavated. And so we have visuals of Minoan society, but we can't hear the Minoans speak to us. What kinds of things did the Mycenaean Greeks learn from the Minoans? There are a number of things, again, that can be mentioned here, and a lot of you brought them up in the quizzes. The first thing to think about is the fact that the Mycenaean Greeks are a tribal people from the north that are used to horses and oxen and wagons. They don't know anything about the world of the sea that they encounter when they enter the Aegean Mediterranean region. And so they learn from the Minoans seacraft, navigation, shipbuilding, and the principles of a trading network across the sea. They also learn about urban society, and they build and emulate palace cities along the lines of the Minoans, which are not simply urban centers, but a style, a form of economic structure that places a high king at the top, the Wanaks, and controls the output, production, and market of the entire society. And so, very top-down, very vertical society. They emulate the palace city structure and create an industrial economy in emulation of the Minoans. And they also copy, certain aspects of Minoan society, some elements of their religion, but they retain key Indo-European elements of their religion. So, for example, the focus on the sky god, Zeus, is very much an Indo-European thing, and we see this in other Indo-European societies, like the Romans, for example. But they copy the Minoan technology. In a sense, the palace city economic system is a technology. Technology is something that is produced by human ingenuity to make things more profitable or more successful. The palace city system is certainly this. They also copy the writing system of the Minoans, as I mentioned. This is another technology that they get from the Minoans. All of this results in the Mycenaean Greeks being able to build a thriving industrial culture, and given their drive and aggression, they are able to surpass the Minoans. They also have a military advantage over the Minoans because they have expertise in the wheel and the axle, something the Minoans do not need because they're a seagoing culture. And so as a result, they have, in warfare, they have the chariot, and they also have, the horse Again, horse mastery, not something that the Minoans have naturally. The result is that Mycenaean cavalry is an advantage on the battlefield that the Minoans don't have when it comes to conflict. But the subsumation of the Minoans is primarily a matter of Mycenaean trade aggression, crowding out the Minoans and swallowing them up. This brings them into conflict with Troy and the climactic Trojan War, which helps to bring down the entire Bronze Age. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, what does he learn in these tests, and what do we see at the very end when he returns to Uruk and views the walls of his city in the company of the boatmen? So part of this is about Gilgamesh figuring out what it means to be a good king, but this is more than just about kingship. This is about Gilgamesh realizing that the nature of immortality that he's seeking is a feature of the world of the gods and not of the world of men. And so to achieve immortality would be to give up his identity. This is already foreshadowed by the fact that Utnapishtim lives at the end of the world, beyond the society of humans. Utnapishtim, the survivor of the flood, and therefore the exception to mortality, universal mortality of the flood. Utnapishtim, the survivor of the flood, is beyond, outside the world of mortals, living at the edge of the world. And this is also foreshadowed by Gilgamesh refusing the marriage of Ishtar. To become a consort of the gods would be to give up his human identity. The first test is something that is impossible, because only the gods can do impossible things. And the second test involves an animal force of nature taking back this thing that Gilgamesh had sought to claim. So these things are indicative of Gilgamesh coming to realize that to be mortal is to die, and that is what gives human beings the capacity to grow, to achieve, to create a legacy. And when he returns to Uruk, he looks upon the walls of Uruk as that kind of achievement, and not simply as an individual, but as the product of collective effort to overcome the destructive power of nature and the gods, and to build something that can produce a future that is stable and prosperous for his people and their descendants. So this is the kind of immortality that mortals are capable of. The achievement that comes in lifetime and the legacy that is built not by individuals but by a community. That is the nature of mortal life, and that is something that the gods are incapable of. Multiple choice question. Linear A is the still undeciphered writing system of the Minoans, as we talked about before. How does the Mycenaean civilization end? The short answer is catastrophically. The Mycenaean civilization utterly collapses. Why does this happen? There are a number of factors that converge in a way that is difficult to reconstruct. But there are a number of things to bear in mind. First of all, the Mycenaean Greeks had seriously exhausted themselves in terms of their economy, in terms of their resources, in terms of their population, as a result of their efforts put into the Trojan War. And so, as a result of this, the Mycenaean economy was already weak and attenuated. On top of this, the nature of the Bronze Age economy was that it was built upon a luxury good, namely products made with bronze. And this has a diminishing returns effect, which causes a bronze based economy to sort of spiral in increasing imbalance as it attempts to adjust for its limited market by trying to expand in terms of customers, in terms of venues, in terms of resources. It becomes increasingly out of control, and so the Mycenaean economy had lost the stabilizing effect of its agricultural base by focusing on its industrial economy, which was dependent upon luxury goods. And this was unsustainable. In addition to this, we have the arrival of the Dorian Greeks en masse, a massive influx of an entire nation of people, which would destabilize a strong economy. And through the Mycenaean economy, weakened by these two factors into chaos. On top of that, we have natural disasters, earthquakes and volcanoes, which are attested for this period. And so everything went into a tumult. The industrial economy collapsed, and with it, the viability of the Mycenaean cities. The cities were abandoned, and the outflux of refugees from the Aegean helped to destabilize the Hittite Empire, the Assyrian Empire, and the Egyptian Empire. And with it comes the end of the Bronze Age and a period of difficult recovery for the ensuing centuries for all of these areas. And that's the end of the quiz. Please email me with any questions.